So we were talking about Beast Wars as a podcast about two comedians rewatching the 1990s TV series Beast Wars Transformers. Although we are discussing a children's television show, the podcast itself is not intended for children.
So, towards the beginning of the episode, both the Maximals and the Predacons observe the ship coming into view in the sky.
Yes.
Optimus notices it because he's sitting outside reading a book.
Yes. Gorilla Optimus lounging outside at night with a book is one of the funniest things I have ever seen.
It was really hilarious.
That paired with his as he sees the object made the episode for me.
Okay, so that stuck out to me too. And I was immediately like, all right, is this apeshit or bullshit? I think we need to get somebody in here, Andy. Was somebody talking about me?
Apetimus, yes. We need your expert or ape-spert opinion. A gorilla sitting outside at night lounging with a good book. Apeshit or bullshit?
Reading my ABCs? No. I wouldn't be doing that. My character may or may not know how to read. Regardless, here's what I would be doing. I would be out there in a tank top, grilling with some propane made of energon. Yeah. And you know what I'd be grilling up?
For some reason, I feel like you'd be snapping into a Slim Jim, but tell me what you would be grilling.
Step into a banana.
Nice.
I think he actually would be grilling plantains. They would probably hold up better.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You could grill or fry a plantain. That's going to hold up all right. You heat up a banana, it gets mushy. So you could do a pudding. You could do banana bread. Those are some things you could do if you're going to heat up a banana. But you want to toss something on the grill, it's got to be more on the plantain side of the family.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. Hey, Aptimus, real quick, what are some of your favorite foods? Are they, like, all banana-based?
Listen, I know I talk a lot about bananas on the show. You can see I go apeshit for them. I go bananas for bananas, you could even say.
Oh.
But that's not all. I like to snap into a Slim Jim.
I thought you were going to do the, like, Forrest Gump. You know all the ways you can prepare a banana? You can have a banana raw. You can have a banana fried. You could have some banana ice cream as a banana whip. You could have some banana cream pie. You could have some bananas that are fried. You could have bananas that are baked. You could put bananas in a couple of shoes and then have somebody slip hilariously when they try to put on those shoes and then have a good laugh and then eat the bananas anyway.
That makes sense. A lot of humans would look askance at eating like smashed bananas that somebody has stepped on, but for a gorilla, it would make no difference.
Oh, right. I call bullshit on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend.
Did I say bullshit? I meant ape shit.
So we were talking about Beast Wars.
Listen, I gotta tell you, they're not tuning in because they want to hear you or me.
Yeah, I mean, Apetimus is the real draw. You know that, I know that. Unfortunately, Apetimus knows that. I've had to double the amount of bananas that we pay him per episode because he knows.
Did somebody say bananas?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, we were just talking about salary negotiations. Phil and I also get paid in bananas.
Oh, well, I would like to collect a salary. Can I do that by telling the plot for this episode?
Yeah, Apetimus, if you want, you can do the recap for us.
All right, so let me tell you, this motherfucker Optimus Primal starts out with some bullshit. He goes up to the ship and he's like, "Let's fuck with this thing." And I'm like, I wouldn't go anywhere near that. You couldn't get me there with a million bananas. He goes up to this thing, this ship, and then it eats him, and then everybody loses their fucking minds, and then it spits him out. The end.
I'm not going to call bullshit per se, but I will say there are a couple of other things in the episode that I think are worth talking about. Thank you, Apetimus, for getting us started. If you head back to the green room, I think you'll find some bananas waiting for you there.
All right, cool. Thanks. Can you guys send me a W-2?
Yeah, we're working that out with your agent and your accountant. We'll get that all set up for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be more than 1 or 2 episodes, but now that we're on episode 5, I've hit one of those tax portions where I'm going to have to start reporting this on a W-2 or some other tax form. And, I want to keep it kosher with the feds. So, yeah, if you could give me one of them forms, brother, that would be apeshit.
You got it. Phil, I think I heard that Apetimus, he just takes care of his taxes through Ape and Our Block.
Oh, God. Oh, well, he actually knows a lot about that stuff. Did you know he's a CPA?
Really?
Yeah, certified primate accountant. What's funnier, certified primal accountant?
I thought you were going to say certified private ape. Hello, everybody. My name is Andy Hunter.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
Welcome to So We Were Talking About Beast Wars. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 5, Chain of Command.
Yeah, this is where we start to get into it, huh?
Yes, really starting to delve into some lore, not just episodic stuff. We're following up on something from a previous episode and setting things up for future episodes. Specifically, what we're following up on is that Stonehenge-looking structure, which all the characters refer to as the Standing Stones. Rhinox is like, oh, this is definitely not a natural formation. Okay. I don't know if even the kids watching the show needed that, but it works to just put it out there.
Yeah, they might need to set the table for some of the younger viewers.
So we were talking about Beast Wars.
We were talking about Beast Wars.
I think your Apetimus is a little more Macho Man Randy Savage, and mine is a little bit more Mr. T.
It could be both.
Yeah, they're both great. So they're among the Standing Stones. Rat Trap says this place alternates my currents, which I'm thinking is a bot version of like this gives me the shivers. They're like, there's some energon under this big pile of rocks. The Predacons are like, yep, if it's energon, it's gonna be ours. Whether it's a big mountain or a little pile. So the Predacons start shooting at the Maximals. I thought it was a weird shot of the Maximals just kind of like bobbing in place for a few seconds, just like dodging with their shoulders and heads the Predacon fire before they actually jump for cover.
Okay, this is weird. I didn't think you were going to notice that too, but I noticed something really weird about that sequence too, because it's like Rat Trap. He's like shooting with one arm, and then he runs behind the ship where all the other Maximals are. So what all the other Maximals are doing is they're just standing and facing the ship. like the ship is like 3 inches from their face. I guess I didn't want to animate anything. But I was just like, are they dead? What's going on here?
Yeah, in general, later on this episode where the Predacons are attacking the Axelon, both sides do a lot of standing out in the open and shooting. Sometimes we see them diving for cover, but there's a lot of just standing out in the open and trusting that the other side has as bad aim as you do. And luckily they often do. Pterosaur shoots at the pile of rocks.
And guess what happens?
Yeah. Big explosion. Great shot of Rhinox being blasted away. I sent you a text. Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to make this my Windows background.
That's pretty dope. It was a pretty dope screenshot.
And we haven't confirmed that shot. It wasn't just a very powerful missile launched by Pterosaur, but rather it ignited the Energon. Megatron is not happy about that. I guess so far we've not seen either side successfully mine or retrieve any Energon. Maybe they're doing so between episodes, or maybe they just have enough Energon still on their ships that they're running okay.
Yeah, maybe it would be really cost prohibitive to show all the refining devices they use.
I mean, I don't know why it would be cost prohibitive. In the 80s show, they just, you take a bunch of shit and smush it down. And there you go. There you've got some refined energy.
Oh, yeah, this was a whole thing with Apetimus. Apetimus did educate me on how that works.
Oh, yeah. An Energon signal then gets sent off into space. And what will happen next? Some amount of time passes. And then we get that great shot of Optimus in gorilla form, just lounging outside at night with a good book. I wish he'd been sipping on a mug of tea with his gorilla pinky extended.
Air, I don't like that at all.
Chamomile. What's that in the sky?
One other point about that. I'm reading into this, maybe something that didn't intend to be read into. But the falling ship being witnessed by prehistoric animals, to me, is evocative of that shot you always see of the meteor that killed the dinosaurs coming into Earth, and then they all look up at it, as we assume that they did. For some reason, it really evoked that for me.
Yeah, it did look like a meteor or asteroid hitting. Of course, they do ask, is that a stasis pod? Which we haven't heard about the stasis pods since that first episode. They're now touching on them again, and they're now seeding the possibility that stasis pods can come down from orbit. So Optimus and Dinobot go to check out the mysterious object, which has gone straight to the Standing Stones. But they are confronted by Megatron and Waspinator. And Megatron is like, we don't know what this thing is, but it's gonna be ours, I guess. He's really put out. He never gets a good night's sleep because he's always afraid of rolling off his bed straight into that lava underneath him.
Yeah, he's really got to do something about that.
Yeah, I mean, just one of those like big nets you might see at a playground or an amusement park for kids to climb on. That wouldn't go astray.
Yeah, or, move.
Yeah. Although with all that lava, I have to assume that there just isn't a bottom to their ship anymore. It's not like that all leaked in, but that I assume the bottom of their ship is destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Same.
But the mysterious object blasts them all, make them all vomit light out of their eyes and mouths.
Dude, that was legitimately, it was slightly horrifying to see that happen. I thought it was really creepy.
Yeah, if I were going to animate these characters being like vaporized from the inside out, that might be something I would do. But instead, they all just get KO'd. Optimus gets zapped and he disappears. Then Dinobot wakes up in the CR chamber, which we'd previously talked about the CR chamber and how it hadn't really shown up before. Now Dinobot wakes up in one. He initially assumes it to be a maximal torture chamber, which is pretty funny. And the Maximals reinstate their values that they do not have torture chambers. Yes, we find out that Dinobot had been dropped offline at their base. So I assume the mysterious object must have sent Dinobot there, because it sure seems like Megatron and Waspinator were in no condition to bring him there, nor would they have chosen to anyway.
How do they know who belongs at what base?
They've been observing... Yeah, that's a good question.
They've been observing. Close enough.
The Predacons version of the CR chamber is some kind of bath.
Okay, so I have an insight about this. Have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Yes.
Have you seen the second installment of the new Dune?
I have not.
Okay, so both of them have this scene of like despots lounging in some sort of therapeutic bath. Especially in the second one, in the Dune one. this really reminded me of that for some reason. And I wonder if narratively, this is some sort of trope that they were playing into.
Maybe. I think there later on are episodes where we do just see Megatron lounging in one of those baths.
Which is just like a creepy evil guy thing to do.
Yeah. If you're taking a meeting in a bath, you do not care about getting Me Too'd.
Yeah. Are you naked under there, Megatron? Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm sorry. So we were talking about Beast Wars, and you were talking about the Predacon baths.
Dinobot relays to the rest of the Maximals that Optimus was seemingly destroyed, just vaporized. He's like, we're going to fight this out. And Ryan's like, no, we have the great Maximal tradition of a secret ballot. It turns out there were 2 votes for Dinobot to be leader, 2 votes for Rat Trap. I have a guess who the second person to vote for Dinobot was, but who do you think it was?
Okay, this is an awesome conversation. But before we get to that, let me just interject. My favorite thing that is said in this episode is when it comes out to a tie, Dinobot says, "Great system, your democracy." I heard him say that and I was like, okay, this show is fucking awesome. A takedown of democracy by Lincoln Trade. So like there's so many things you could read into that about like, you know, Decepticons, Maximals and like parties in politics. I just thought that was very, very funny.
Yeah, and very in character for Dinobot too.
Yeah, but like politics, I didn't know he was down like that.
Well, seems like he's not really down for politics as much as just like, my politics are the strongest person gets to be in charge, especially when I feel like I'm the strongest one in the room.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So he's like, he submitted to this and then it came out with a non-vote. Okay, so let's get back to your initial question. 2 votes for Dinobot, 2 votes for Rat Trap, right?
Yes.
We're assuming the Dinobot voted for himself and Rat Trap voted for himself.
Yeah.
So we're choosing between Cheetor and Rhinox.
Yes.
For some reason, and this is insane, in the moment when I was trying to figure it out, I assumed that Dinobot voted for himself, that Cheetor voted for Rat Trap, that Rhinox voted for Rat Trap, and that Rat Trap voted for Dinobot because Rat Trap didn't actually want to lead.
I guess that could have been, but he didn't want to actually admit that he didn't want to lead.
Right.
That would make sense. Assuming Dinobot and Rat Trap had each voted for themselves, I was guessing that Rhinox voted for Rat Trap, since, as we'll later learn, I don't think they've said it so far, but we'll later learn that they're best friends. And that Cheetor voted for Dinobot, maybe because Cheetor was remembering, oh yeah, Dinobot in the last episode gave me that pep talk and believed in me.
That makes the most sense narratively.
Although, of course, the episode before that, Rat Trap was the one who really saved his bacon from the web.
Oh, that's a good point. Let's make the case for everybody. You just laid out the case for Cheetor voting for Dinobot, right?
Yeah.
What's the case for Rhinox voting for Dinobot?
He knows that Dinobot's not going to let it go. If we all vote for Rat Trap, Dinobot isn't going to accept it. So maybe we just vote for Dinobot, make it legitimate, and get it over with.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
But anyway, Dinobot's like, fuck democracy, and blasts Rat Trap.
Oh my god.
But then Optimus calls them. He's luckily able to call them while he's disembodied. And he names Rat Trap to be in command right now. I like his line. I'm sure you worked out the chain of command peacefully.
That was pretty funny.
Though I would have guessed that Optimus would have picked Rhinox to be his second in command.
Yeah, that's what's weird. It's kind of the rhino in the room. The elephant in the room is the rhino in the room. Like, he's obviously like the smartest and strongest one outside of Optimus.
Yeah, as we often say, the person best suited to lead is the one who does not wish the mantle of leadership.
Fair enough.
But whatever, it's Rat Trap. Oh, but cutting back to the Predacons, when Megatron and Waspinator are getting out of their baths, Scorponok, this is, I think, the first time we hear him speak like a caveman. He's like, oh, Megatron back, Scorponok with Pterosaur Tarantulas, scary. I think he, depending on the episode, either is able to use verbs and speak like everybody else, or he speaks like a caveman like this. Because the Scorponok in this episode does not sound like the same kind of person who said, report this to Megatron. Oh, but you're second in command. Well, then it's an order, you know?
Yeah, which is a sly joke to make.
Yeah.
I found that weird. I don't know why I didn't write it down in my notes, but my take is they're still just trying to find out so much about who these characters are in the first few episodes. So maybe they were just trying this on for size and seeing how it went.
Yeah, and who knows, there might not have been really a writer's room the way a lot of shows have, where even after one person goes off and writes a script, you then have the room get together and refine it so that it still overall has the same show voice. I think last episode we said if you were an animator on Beast Wars, reach out to us and we'll happily have you on the show. If you were a writer on Beast Wars, let us know. We would love to have you on the show and talk to you.
Absolutely.
BeastWarsTalk@gmail.com. Optimus, when he calls them, he totally is on the money with, okay, yeah, the Predacons are definitely going to attack because you're outnumbered now, which is the first thing Megatron says after he wakes up.
He knows his enemy.
Yeah. So the Predacons do attack. Rat Trap says, Rhinox, your job is to stay here and build a device that'll help us retrieve Optimus. The rest of us, let's go fight. I love that Dinobot does like a 30-foot flying kick at Megatron, which Megatron sees for like 5 seconds and just keeps running into it.
I wrote that down too. That flying kick was so satisfying to see him do. And it was like a visual indication of how much they need Dinobot to counter Megatron.
Yeah, that many of the others are perhaps not. Whether it is in terms of temperament or just knowing Megatron or just about physical power, the Dinobot is their best match against Megatron, at least with Optimus gone.
It's weird how much this parallels the beginning of season 2.
Yeah, because that ended up being another time with Optimus seemingly gone. And yeah, the Predacons seizing that opportunity.
There's also a lot of like body horror stuff going on with Optimus. He gets disembodied like regularly.
Yeah, although he was very sanguine about it in this episode. When he was able to call them, he's like, I don't know, I seem to be disembodied and just made of energy right now. I think my actual molecules are stored inside the ship. But I feel fine.
Yeah, he took that pretty well.
Yeah. After that awesome flying kick, Dinobot gets into a fist fight with Megatron. And I wrote, if I could zap somebody just by looking at them, I don't know why metal on metal punching would be my go-to for a close quarters fight. I feel like, you know, as I'm blocking punches, why don't I just look Megatron in the eye and zap him right in the eye? And then when Dinobot ends up having to finish the fight, he ended up doing that. It's like, oh, all right, so it's not even that the writers forgot that was an option. It's just like, no, Dinobot, I just felt like getting into a fight. Or yeah, I know also it's not entertaining to watch a fight only last 3 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was highly entertained by them getting into a fist fight.
Then the shields are about to go down. Rat Trap orders Dinobot to reactivate the shields, but Dinobot is like, no, I'm fighting Megatron. So Rat Trap does it. I was a little surprised that he didn't send Cheetor as the fastest, but he does a sweet flip to shoot Pterosaur out of the air and then hit the shield button in one motion. So that was cool, but I was expecting it to take some degree of technical work to reactivate the shields rather than just pushing a button. Because if it's as simple as pushing a button, can't that be automated anyway? Like, can't you just program the shields to just automatically reboot if they go down? Like, why would you program shields to... All right, if the shields fail, wait until somebody presses this one single button input to turn back on.
Yeah, I didn't get the dynamics of that either. The only thing I could think of is from an action standpoint, they thought that played out better, but I also thought that was weird.
Yeah, even if it was just Rat Trap has to type for a second and then push a button, I feel like that would have made a bit more sense. But yes, it's not as satisfying as flip, shoot, land, slam on the big red button.
So I know you don't play Helldivers 2, This dynamic is something that plays out almost identically in the game because they set up some nominal things you need to do, like launch an ICBM or get a radar station back online. So you have to go to different places on the map, get stuff running, and then leave. So you and your teammates will be at a spot trying to get that component working, which takes 3 or 4 different things happening all around the base. And then you'll get overrun. And the person who is at the control panel trying to punch in whatever is all of a sudden trying to fight off something that's attacking him. And then you're having the conversation, yo, somebody get that terminal back online. And that person is occupied by like a giant monster or robot bearing down on them. So you have to run over through fire and you might have to kill something on the way in order to be able to get to the panel to punch the thing in. It was kind of wild how much those two parallel. And I think that's one of the reasons I thought it was so cool to see Rat Trap do that, because there's a fictional character in Helldiver's lore called John Helldiver. It's something the community came up with. And it's like at any time you see somebody like dealing, like one person holding off a horde by doing a bunch of stuff, it's a John Helldiver moment. So I think Rat Trap had a John Helldiver moment.
Nice. He was only missing the cape.
He did have a tail.
At the end of the fight, Dinobot blasts Megatron. The shields are back online, and Megatron decides to retreat for now. All the Maximals start glitching, and Ratchet's like, oh, we've been in robot mode too long. Beast mode. Cheeto rolls his eyes and says, we didn't need you to tell us that. But he and Dinobot were just standing there like idiots until he finished saying that.
Yeah. Maybe it's one of those times where you don't want to admit somebody was right.
Yeah, we've all been there. Then we once again have Dinobot admitting that he's wrong. Honor is established as an ongoing trait for him. Unlike Scorponok, who we can't decide, can he speak modern English? Can he only speak caveman English? With Dinobot, we are now establishing a core trait of his is honor. He's like, it was dishonorable of me to ignore your orders and not put the team above myself. Though I think that would have played a bit better if Dinobot hadn't had Megatron like grabbing his face in his hands. Because it's not like Dinobot was totally free. When he said he was presently engaged, yes, Megatron was pinning him at the time. So unless Dinobot was just thinking, oh yeah, I could have zapped Megatron with my I-beams at any time and just didn't.
Oh yeah, if he had done the Andy Hunter thing in the beginning, that would have made sense. Yeah, I thought he didn't need to apologize because there was a perfectly good reason why he couldn't do that. That's kind of the biggest reason anybody could have. You've got Megatron on you.
Yeah. Oh, well, we do get, Dinobot, for all of his bluster earlier, is able to admit when he's wrong, or at least admit when somebody else has a point. So that's cool. Eventually, the Maximals head back to the Standing Stones. Rhinox has a device. He's like, who knows if this is going to work? I've never had to build a device that'll extract disembodied Optimus from an alien brain chip. But then it's not working. He's like, oh, this whole place seems like it's just one device based on my readings. And then it does respond as such when Waspinator slams into it while sparking Energon. The reason Waspinator was fritzing and sparking Energon is because we get the first appearance of Rhinox's Gatling gun. And I wrote down, he badassly takes Waspinator apart with it.
That was a very satisfying and I thought hilarious. Like those things could play out and it wouldn't actually be funny, but I think they nailed how funny that needed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, that was extremely satisfying.
Of just like seeing Waspinator blasting back and then body parts starting to fall off of him.
And that's a good point. It works because we've never seen the Gatling gun before.
Yeah.
Or in a while.
We haven't, because in the first episode is, I think, the only other time up until now we've seen Rhinox in a fight. And he just picked up Cheetor's dropped gun and used it in that episode.
Oh.
And I had noted at the time, like, why aren't we seeing Rhinox's gun?
Great entrance.
Yeah. So Waspinator fritzing some Energon, bumping into the device. That was the key to bringing Optimus back for whatever reason. And he says he's feeling prime. And he shows that, I guess maybe other than Rhinox, he's the only Maximal who can hit anything he shoots at because he, in quick succession, takes out all the other Predacons. And then the probe disappears. And the Muse, are these aliens monitoring them friend or foe? Optimus says, good question. I wonder when we'll find out the answer. Which to me is almost up there with let them be called Beast Wars as like a practically like fourth wall breaky. Well, I can't solve this mystery. Can you?
Yeah, maybe we'll find out in 25 episodes.
I think there's partway through the season, something comes up and talks to Optimus or something.
Oh, yeah, there is something that happens in between. I take that back.
Any other thoughts about Chain of Command?
Yes. So, how many times do you think maximize was said, and how many times do you think terrorize was said? This is another Beast Wars bingo.
I think terrorize was said 4 times, and maximize was said 7 times.
I may have missed some. They were each only said 3 times.
Okay, yeah. It's not always like the pilot where they just each take turns, like Megatron, terrorize, Optimus, Maximize, and they go back and forth. Sometimes you see one of them saying it, and then the others just silently transforming.
Right. So in your head, you're like, each one of them said it. So 7 people could have transformed when somebody said maximize. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
All right. Oh, I'll also point out, because I feel like there's a non-zero degree of overlap between Beast Wars fans and Star Trek fans. Chain of Command is the name of a well-regarded 2-part episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. So anyway, I don't want the Trek nerds to come at me. Don't worry, I too am a Trek nerd. I am aware that this episode of Beast Wars shares a name with a famous episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
And both Optimus and Captain Picard get kidnapped by aliens.
Indeed, they do. Coincidence? Maybe.
Maybe each episode of Beast Wars is a ripoff of a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one, Equal Measures, was a ripoff of the time, I guess, Geordi went off on his own and accidentally teleported inside a Romulan ship.
Is there an accidental teleporter thing that happens? I'm sure that's like every other episode.
Yeah, probably, but I'm not remembering one that's particularly analogous to Equal Measures.
That's interesting. Like, I don't know that much Star Trek, so I can't read into that. But now that you mentioned those things, I bet there's a lot of Star Trek influenced stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, certainly the generalities of our sensors are telling us this, and our ships have shields so that our ships can take several hits before they actually blow up. You know, like, unlike, I always compare in my head, Star Trek ship fights are the ships exchanging lots of shots, but the shields are absorbing it, as compared to Star Wars fights where all the hits directly hit the ships, and ships can only seem to take a few hits before they then blow up. So yes, there are certainly general like sci-fi parallels to The Next Generation. But yeah, let's keep an eye out for more direct call-outs.
And you could say there are a couple of, I'm assuming, high-level character traits that are similar between Picard and Optimus Primal.
Yeah, and that they're both more scientists than they are fighters.
But both strong leaders. They win people over through charisma and also good decision-making, I'm assuming.
Yeah, also Captain Picard has a shotgun inside his arm that he uses whenever people get out of line.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Is Captain Picard going to have to choke a bitch?
Is there an Apetimus equivalent for Captain Picard?
Oh, Kirk, for sure.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty funny.
So that will do it for Chain of Command. Thank you for listening. I've been Andy Hunter.
I've been Phil Thomas.
And now we have talked about Beast Wars.